What is up, YouTube, and welcome to another video. If you've been following along, you know that I've been doing a short little series over Freud's idea of the human psyche, and we've gone into the id and we've gone into the ego, and this video I'm going to go into the superego. So it's a little bit more of an external topic compared to the other two, but it's just as important that you guys understand this topic and you apply it to your own life so that you can better it and become your greatest creative self. Before that though, I would like to remind you to like and subscribe to this video. If you guys have any comments, please go ahead and put them down below. I would love to read them. Also share it if you find that this video would be useful to somebody that you know. Also would like to remind everybody to check out my website, but enough of that. Let's get right into it. What exactly is the ego? Well, before I explain the ego, I have to explain the psyche. And the psyche is basically Freud's idea of the human mind and how it works. So the id is basically our instinctual self. The ego is our sense of self. So that's who we believe that we are. And the superego is the external influences that dictate our moral values, our ethics, and how we function within society. One problem with creatives though is that they will either have a really strong ego or a really strong superego. I already made the video on how you can kill your ego to become your best actualized self. In this video, I will tell you about the dangers of having a very strong superego, as this will make you a conformist bot, and that is something that you want to avoid as much as possible, especially if you want to get into the creative field. You don't want to conform to just one singular way of thinking. You want to take in as many viewpoints as you can. You want to liberate yourself from any one kind of thought and just be open to the world and its creative processes rather than restricting yourself to one set path. Now, how the superego is created, it is gained over time. It starts when you're a child raised by your parents, and your parents implant on you certain ideas, values, code of ethics. As you grow up, you do something bad, you get reprimanded, and you start learning over time what is right within your family to do. And this will vary between families. So my family might be doing things one way, and then I go to a neighbor's house and their family's doing things one way, and then I go to someone else's house. Again, everybody is very different, and this will change over different types and groups of people. So it will change over culture, it will change over economic class, it will change over age groups, and so on and so forth. As you grow up, you start being exposed to all different kinds of ideas, but generally you're gonna stick to one group because it's what you know and what you feel most comfortable with. And this is a trap and a pitfall that most people go through. And as an artist, you can't be falling into this trap. It's a dangerous trap because it's conformity. You feel used to it and you feel that it is what is safe for you to be in. But know this. No one set way of thinking is the right way. Thinking is very subjective, and you can't hold yourself to something that can be right and also can be wrong. You need to pick up as many ideas from the world as you can, otherwise you will be raised up in different ways that you might have never even known were in place. So what do I mean by this? I mean that there are certain institutions in the world that exist that you grow up in and you have no conscious idea of until you leave and you realize, oh crap, I was thinking in a certain way because things were set in place so that I thought that way. And you will notice this with your family first, and then you will notice it with your friends, then you will notice it with your education, then you will notice it with your work and your job. And further in life, you will just keep noticing that there are institutions everywhere, and they all want to push their own agendas and have you thinking their certain way. As an artist, you kind of have a leg up on other people because you might be used to thinking creatively, you might be used to thinking outside of the box, and you need to leverage this and actually grow it. And you need to discern what kind of thought processes are most conducive to your betterment of yourself. As you grow and as you mature over life, you will be exposed to different kinds of people, and they will all have different kinds of ideas, and people will disagree with you, people will agree with you. One catch is that the people that agree with you, you need to align with them to a certain extent. Because one pitfall of only aligning with people that agree with you is that it eventually will become an echo chamber. And in that way, you will start only aligning yourself with that people and conform to that kind of echo chamber, and then you won't allow external ideas to penetrate through, and maybe there's an external idea that will actually be better for you, and just because you're so stuck into that echo chamber, you will reject the idea and therefore not grow into a better version of yourself. It is important to always be looking for creative ways to incorporate other people's ideas within your own, and not allow yourself to be led by one group in specific. What I'm telling you guys is not to throw away your core values, the things that were instilled with you from childhood, if you feel that they are conducive to your betterment and you feel very strongly about them, you feel like they make you a better person. Maybe these values are treat others nicely. Maybe these values are to be kind to one another. Maybe these values are to love people unconditionally. These are not necessarily bad values that you need to throw away, but you need to be open to seeing things from different perspectives and allow yourself to take in other perspectives and mold them into your own, and mold them, the current values that you have, into something even stronger and better that will allow you to grow into a more actualized self. So the way to do this is to start applying your critical thinking skills. Start not taking things at face value. If somebody tells you something, it's for a reason. So what is the reason? What do they want from you? What do they want you to do? What could be their agenda, and how do you play into that agenda of these things that they are telling you? Once you start looking into the reasons that people are telling you things, you'll start understanding at a deeper level, and you will begin to think in different ways, and you will begin to be able to decide if you want to take in a certain way of thinking or reject it. You need to think very critically and realize that not everybody has your best interest in their mind. They most likely have their own best interest in mind. I'm not telling you to reject everybody that comes up and tries to tell you certain things, but definitely be wary of individuals, because people who have an invested interest in themselves will likely be really good at hiding that interest from you, and you need to be able to discern that so that you can protect yourself and so that you don't allow negative and bad ideas into your life that might corrode your previous values and ethics and morals that you have been cultivating throughout your life. You also need to develop a sense of intellectual empathy. So you need to be able to relate to other people and understand where they're coming from, understand why they have an agenda and why they might be thinking a certain way. You might disagree with them, but that does not necessarily mean that you can't learn from what they're telling you or what they're trying to push onto you. It might be a negative idea, but you might learn something positive from it. So for example, you might have someone who is an aggressive person and they have very strong opinions. You might not want to take up their strong opinions, but you'll want to take up the ideas behind the strong opinions and understand that it is okay to have strong opinions, and you might apply that to yourself and start being more assertive in your own way of doing things and in your own core values and ideas. And in doing this, you also need to set personal boundaries and understand how far you want to incorporate certain ideas into your own life, because you don't want to embody something wholeheartedly and then it ends up backfiring and going badly for you. So in the case of the red pill community, you might see that people are portraying themselves as hyper-masculine males, showing individuals that they need to be a certain way and do certain things, but at the core of that idea is self-knowledge and internal strength. You don't have to be a hyper-masculine males and have like these supercars and have all these women and things like that. You can if you want. I'm not saying don't do that, but don't feel forced to live in that way just because you admire these people. Look at their core, understand why they have these things, and understand where these people are coming from, and you will be able to take the gist of it and incorporate that into yourself rather than taking it to the extreme. Because if you're not careful and you incorporate too many external ideas and try to force yourself into a certain way, you might become an extremist and go into an ideology that's actually not really that conductive to who you want to be in the future, and it ends up being detrimental in that way. So when you're looking to gather ideas for yourself that you can incorporate into your life, just have boundaries and barriers set up for yourself so that you're not exactly excluding every idea that is out there, but you're also not incorporating too much of a certain idea that can turn into an extremist ideology and end up hurting you and the people around you in the future. So once you're cognizant of all these institutions around you, all these thought institutions, and you realize that everybody has their own little group that they stick to, and they all tend to think somewhat in the same sort of way and do the same sort of things, understand that that might not be what is most conducive to you. Just because everybody's doing it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be doing it. And as a creative, you should be trying to incorporate as many ideas as you want without giving away your core and who you are in your most innermost self, because that is the surefire way to actually lose that self. Unless you want to kill your ego, then go ahead and do that, but that's only if you're consistently taking in ideas that are better and more productive, and you're actually growing and stacking all your ranks until you basically level up your character. Just know that different places have different agendas. They want you to think in certain ways because they want you to do certain things. Understand what those things exactly are, and you'll be able to navigate these. And actually, you might be able to even start taking certain ideas and institutions and using them to leverage your own self into certain positions of power. Once you do that, the universe is basically yours. You're going to be able to boost yourself to any kind of thought group and apply it to yourself, or negate any kind of thoughts and push them out. And you become sort of Neo in the Matrix of just handling certain information and getting to where you want to get yourself without hurting people, but also elevating yourself to a new standard of who you want to be and what kind of morals, principles, and ethics you want to apply yourself to. Especially if you feel like your morals and your ethics don't align with the kind of life that you want to live, then you need to be open to understanding of other people and see the people who have a life that you would like to live and start being more like them. Start incorporating their ideas into your own way of living. Start learning from these people. Start seeing what these people put out, what do they do, what kind of thoughts they have, what kind of things do they say, what kind of things are they interested in. And in that way, you slowly start understanding where these people are coming from, and you can become more like them. On the other hand, if there are people that you really dislike, acknowledge all of these things that I just said and do the opposite. So start avoiding certain scenarios, start avoiding certain thoughts, start avoiding, different kinds of negative aspects of other people, and you'll find that slowly you will become like water to their oil, and you will just naturally start avoiding everything that these people have to encompass, and you will go towards more water-like people. Guys, it's very important to hydrate. Please drink your water and eat your vitamins, and also subscribe to my channel. Leave a like down below. Visit my website. I have some amazing products on there. I will have prints of this artwork here up pretty soon, so you guys will be able to check that out. It's a really amazing process what I went through, and I showed it off on my Instagram as well as my TikTok, so you guys follow me at Basil. Other than that, guys, I really appreciate you sticking with me through this video. I will be having more bangers out in the future, and I hope that you guys continue along with me for the ride. I love you guys. Bye.